are now tuned into People City Propaganda, a podcast from People City Council, and you just finished listening to our theme song, put together by the Honorable Adam Smith. We are so thankful for his gift. Please support Adam on all them social networks. You can find him at Another Adam Smith. I am your host, Jason Reedy, organizer with People City Council. I am blonde, as many of you have noticed, but I am now blacker than ever. Don't worry. I'm a stay-at-home dad, not cut from the same cloth as Darius Jackson. And at age 35, I recently joined my first adult basketball league. Our squad's name is F12. My co-host today is Phillip Kim. What's good, Phillip? Tell the people who you are.
Okay, so I'm Phillip Kim with People City Council and the Robinson Space and a bunch of other orgs, Skid Row People's Market, J-Town Action Solidarity. I like to get down. Also now work for La Defensa, and glad to be here.
Awesome. What is People City Propaganda? It's a passion project covering Los Angeles politics, pigs, pork chops, organizing, and the movement. We record our podcast from our spot, the Robinson Space, and today's installment is on the Writers Guild of America strike, which is now 77 days deep. And you know what that means? WGA is in the house.
Right here.
Also, based on my research, Chicago is in the house.
Oh,
Right
both
here.
of us.
Oh, are we both from Chicago?
When did you move here?
I moved here in 2011.
Okay, I just moved here like a year ago.
Damn. No, I'm an elder now.
Okay. The Writers Guild of America has, based on my research, over 11,500 members who write and produce the TV and films that entertain the world. They're in the midst of their 6th strike, and in a minute we'll dive into why they are on strike, what's at stake, and why they need our support. But let's put some respect on our illustrious guests' names real quick. We have Kyra Jones, who is a Black queer feminist artist, educator, and advocate whose work focuses on Black women's experiences with intimate relationships, sex, and liberation. She's a second-generation West Indian American and has spent most of her life talking shit over curry chicken with her Trinidadian family members. Kyra has written on shows like Woke on Hulu and Queens on ABC. She is co-creator and star of the award-winning web series The Right Swipe on OTV. As an actor, she's appeared on Empire, Chicago Justice, The Chi, Kappa Force, and Seeds. In addition to being an artist, Kyra is a professional sex educator and survivor advocate. She's the former assistant director of Northwestern's University Sexual Health and Violence Resource Center, CARE. She has given lectures and workshops around the United States on consent, healthy relationships, transformative justice, sexual violence in the Black community, prison abolition, intimacy coordination, and more. And when she's not working one of her 800 jobs, you can find Kyra pole dancing, baking gluten-free goodies, trying a new restaurant she can't afford, and toasting marshmallows over the burning white cis hetero patriarchy.
Hey.
Olga Lexell writes for Cobra Kai on Netflix, is a WGA captain, IATSE member, X-File. How do you say that? X-File?
X-File?
X-File? Is that okay? That's what the fans are called. Haka supporter.
What is Haka?
Hoka? What is this stuff?
Oh, Hoka.
Hoka. Sorry.
Hoka's our orthopedic shoes, everyone. That's what I'm
a
known
runner.
for.
I should know this. I see them out plenty of times when I'm running. Damn, I didn't know that's how you pronounce it. It's one of those ones that you read online but you never say out loud.
Yeah.
Metro enthusiast.
Yeah.
And
Love the bus.
and an avid biker. She previously worked as a writer's assistant and script coordinator for 6 years. She has set experience on multiple productions, including a season of Atlanta.
Hey.
Oh, no. See, everyone thinks I worked on Atlanta because in my bio, I wrote that I was in production in Atlanta on another show. I think this is the 5th time somebody has read my bio and been like, oh, shit, she worked on Atlanta.
Okay.
No.
Damn. Okay. Well, still cool.
Atlanta.
Hey, Atlanta's cool. Stop Cop City. Olga was born in Kiev, grew up in Chicago, and attended school in Los Angeles, London, and Tokyo. She graduated from the University of Southern California, where she studied film and behavioral economics. Her online writing has been featured in publications like McSweeney's, Reductress, Paste Magazine, Autostraddle, Cracked, BuzzFeed, and Splitsider. Outside of writing, she fights for real investment in infrastructure for biking and public transportation. She has volunteered and worked for multiple political campaigns, including Bernie 2020, Scott Epstein for City Council, Kenneth Mejia for City Controller, and Healthy Streets LA. In her spare time, she serves on the board of transit justice group Streets for All and is an appointee to the LA Metro's Public Safety Advisory Committee.
Woo.
Ooh.
Damn.
So I think a good place to start is, how long have you each been a part of WGA?
I literally just joined in March.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I joined in 2021, but I've been a member of SAG since 2020.
Yeah, so you double strike.
Double striking right now, yeah.
So I guess when someone walks up to you on the picket line and they ask you, "What is this all about?" what is your response?
For me, I mean, I work in streaming so far, and I think most younger career writers work mostly in streaming. I know you've worked on a network show, I think.
Yeah, I've done both network and streaming.
But most of us, there's just more shows in streaming, and I think we're really fighting for, we get the same weekly minimum pay, but the residuals are really the big difference. And for people who don't know, residuals are, say you wrote on The Office on NBC. When the show airs, you get paid. Each time they re-air your episode, you get paid. And that money used to really carry people over for like years and years and years. Now, if your episode on a streamer airs or someone rather watches it, you get paid like 0.0001 cents. It's similar to, what you see with musicians on Spotify and that kind of struggle. So for me, it's really the way they found loopholes to not pay us for things like that.
Yes, residuals are a big issue as far as the WGA demands, but also the mini rooms. I would say the mini rooms and AI are the two other big issues that we're fighting for. So the size and duration of writers' rooms has significantly decreased since streaming. All thanks to Netflix. They're the creators of the mini rooms. So whereas a broadcast show, especially one that had like a 20 to 22 episode order, would probably have like upwards of a 30 or 40 week room. So you'd be employed for the vast majority of the year, and then you'd get residuals to carry you over for the hiatus. Now, a lot of the time, writers' rooms can be 12 weeks, 10 weeks, even less than that.
Yeah, that's being generous, too.
It's being generous, yeah. I've heard 7 weeks.
I heard of someone who was in a 1 week mini room.
Oh my God.
Somebody offered me that job. I would honestly
I would laugh in their face.
Would give them a little push.
Yeah, push them into a volcano. And we get paid weekly, so that's like a big difference in money. And also the size of them. These longer order broadcast rooms used to have like 15, sometimes 20 writers. Now there's some writers' rooms that are like 3-4 people. So it's just harder to get into a writer's room now, even though there's more shows. And one of the impacts of the fact that the rooms are smaller and shorter are that lower level writers, so writers who are at entry level or just above entry level, are the ones that are kind of being left out in the cold, because some of these showrunners are like, well, I need to get a whole season of television written in 4 weeks, and I only have 4 slots, so I'm going to go with writers who have more experience, so executive producer, co-executive producer level writers. And so people like of our level are kind of being left out in the cold because they think we don't have the experience to get it done. But one of the other impacts of that is that there's less diversity in these rooms because most of the underrepresented writers are lower level because they just started deciding that they're going to hire people who aren't straight white men just in time for us to stop paying us. So the mini rooms, and then of course AI, we don't want to be replaced by robots. It's pretty straightforward. So
yeah. And the issue of the staff sizes is really huge. I was literally just reading the statistics, and 92%, I believe, of showrunner level writers in the guild are white men.
Yep.
Whereas when you go lower into the ranks, like it just gets more and more representative of the population. Yep. So the fact that they are hiring fewer and fewer writers and only those with experience has really hit people who aren't white men hard.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's something like staff writers, which is the lowest level you can be in the writer's room. It's like almost like 50% people of color, something like that.
Yeah.
So it's like most of us are down here. So you have, I have a friend who was writing on a show that's about like HBCUs. And he's like, I'm the only Black person in that room.
Oh,
which is crazy. And I'm like, I know a bunch of unemployed Black writers, but I mean, I don't know the size of that room, so my guess is that they might have chosen people with more experience, or they just don't want Black people in the room. But I'm like, that's crazy. So,
and obviously the studios are the targets. We've seen some of the fuckery that's gone on. Just today I was looking, I guess they cut all the trees down.
We talking about tree law?
Yes.
What?
Yeah, so for those who haven't heard, for the past 77 days, Universal has been performing construction all around the lot and cutting up the sidewalks so people have to picket in the street. And now, today, mysteriously, the trees were basically like cut up so there's zero shade left on those sidewalks. And I've been thinking a lot about tree cover, especially because of the role that tree cover has in LA with LAPD's history of surveillance.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, this is the most fucked up shit you could do to picketing workers.
Yeah. What are the other kind of things that you've seen on the picket line that these maybe it isn't directly the studios, but it might be supporters of the studio that have been.
They be trying to hit us with cars.
Oh my God.
Like pretty frequently, trying to hit us with cars. I was at CBS TV City like maybe a month or two ago, and there was some woman in a white Range Rover who she was like trying to turn right into the studio and like was stopped while we were walking across and like purposely like surged to try to get us to disperse. And then when we stopped her, she like screamed at us and was like, "You all think you're so clever, don't you?" Wow. And then when she got in, she told the security guards, and then they acted like we attacked her. She's a white woman so hard. And so then there were more security guards that descended to watch us, even though she was the one who tried to commit vehicular manslaughter. Like,
Range Rover Karen.
Yeah, Range Rover Karen. There you go. Just as white as her car.
Wow.
Okay. So that, and then, you know, people just, for the most part, people honk and support, I would say. And people, you know, they'll send snacks and food. I would say there's definitely more support than there is dissent, but the dissent is pretty violent.
I love the people who yell at us when they drive by. We had a car full of, like, to me, small children. I assume they were probably like teenagers who all took their pants off and just mooned everyone at one of our gates.
Okay.
So
and just shouted, "Fuck the writers."
Moon or that was a
Huh?
There was a corresponding "fuck the writers."
Yeah.
With the moon. Oh.
It was a moon meant to intimidate us. I hadn't heard of mooning being a thing since I was like 10, so I was personally impressed. We get a lot of people yelling at us. It's fun. We get
the moon's a supportive. I feel like the moon's like a supportive celestial body. It's like
that's true. That's how it felt in the moment for sure.
But then
we had somebody drive past us last week who yelled "fuck Joe Biden." I was like, okay,
sure, he's not here, right, but sure. Okay,
fuck him. And so you're normally on the Fox picket?
Yeah, I'm the assistant lot coordinator over at Fox, so I'm there every day.
Okay.
I'm like a statue outside of Fox now at this point.
And what about you?
I hop around everywhere. I've actually only not been to Fox and Sony.
We're like the two types of writer, like the one who stays at one studio or the one who like hops around and tries something new.
Yeah. I should go to Sony though because I don't like them. So they're the ones that I should be yelling at, but it's far away, so I don't want to go there.
And so you all spoke about how little y'all are being paid as writers. You know, what are you doing right now to survive? I mean, you know, it's been 77 days. I know that there's different funds that are going around to support writers, a lot of mutual aid going on. And so, how are y'all surviving?
I have a day job. Okay. So coincidentally, the job that I had at Northwestern, they hit me up maybe like 3 weeks before the strike was called because they were understaffed. And they were like, "Hey, would you mind taking appointments with students remotely?" And I was like, perfect timing because I'm about to be poor. So I'm only there part-time, so it's just enough for me to be able to like cover my rent every month. And then I also have a job as a ghostwriter. So yeah, I'd be helping people write their books and stuff, pretending to be them.
Okay.
I was working when we stopped. So I had a decent amount saved up, and then I got recruited into helping out as one of the like on-site lot people. Mm-hmm. I think I would have gotten a day job because I have spent like zero money because I'm afraid. But I actually just got my first strike fund payment.
Nice.
It's a loan. You do have to pay it back to the union, but they are. It's a 0% interest loan, and they're very lenient about paying it back.
Yeah, they said in one of the meetings, like, you have to pay it back.
Yeah, I'm unclear of how hard I have to pay it back.
I don't think you do.
I was like, I'm going for it. Yeah, just because it feels like I have a part-time job doing this because I'm there every day for like most of the day, and I'm like, at this point, I'm in too deep. I can't just get out now. So
yeah, there's also a mutual aid fund that a group of Black women writers had set up for us. So I've gotten help from that as well. Yeah,
that's wonderful to hear that you guys have that you all have the support or have some support right during this time. I guess another question I wanted to ask was, like, where's your creative energy going to right now? You know, normally you'd be writing, normally these types of things. I'm seeing a lot of creative pickets. I know you came from one today, X-Files, and I've been seeing different themes. So yeah, where is the creativity being poured into right now?
I mean, for me, at the end of the day, I have zero energy to do anything. On the weekends, I sleep like 14 or 15 hours. So to be honest, I started writing again for the first time yesterday since we went on strike. And it was like, I forgot how to do this. So I'm trying, but I've been so focused on just maintaining our picket, which is a lot of emotional labor, I will say. Like, we're always putting sunscreen on everyone and making everyone drink water, and it really takes it out of you. So to be honest, most of my creativity has gone towards like, what kind of cool food can we get catered today?
Do y'all got good catering? Because I'll come for that.
I know. At the start of it, I started like a little Fox food fund, and people just kept giving and giving and giving. We've raised like almost $7,000 now. So we've been doing catering like every day. We try to go to local businesses that are probably hurting because they're by lots and stuff.
Yeah.
We usually do tacos like once a week. Yeah.
Okay, tell me when taco day is. I'll come.
I'll give you a heads up.
Because like I can't eat gluten, and a lot of the other pickets, they're like donuts, pizza, poison.
One of our lot coordinators is gluten free, so we always have gluten free options.
You're selling Fox to me real hard.
This is why all the we have regulars. I'm telling you.
I'll come. I think that somebody I used to date be there, so I don't want to see his ass. But
I can get rid of him.
Great. Okay, well we'll talk after this.
I have no solidarity with that guy specifically.
No, we hate him. Okay. He left me for a white woman in Canada. It's fine. But the creative energy back. We'll stop talking shit about my ex. But creatively, honestly, I'm kind of been a little exhausted too. I just kind of started writing. One of the nice things about what's going on right now is that you get to meet so many writers that you probably wouldn't have if this weren't happening. So one of the writers that I actually knew from Twitter, who's like a pretty big name in horror, he literally just slid in my DMs, was like, hey, you want to write a movie with me? And I was like, yeah. So we're writing a movie right now together, and then I have some stuff that I should be working on that I haven't. But like, we're allowed to write for ourselves right now. We can write on spec, but we just can't write for a studio. So some people have been using this time to actually get to write their passion projects that they wouldn't have had time to while they were in a writer's room. So
Phillip, you have any questions?
Yeah, following up on food, I've seen people are organizing mutual aid around grocery distribution.
Yeah, a lot of it.
Yeah, who's doing that, and like how do people access that as a resource if they're on strike?
Yeah, it's kind of been all over the place. It's interesting for me when we went on strike. Like, my first fear is always like people going hungry, and Joelle Garfinkel, who is a WGA member and also an IATSE member, started a mutual aid fund, and she gives out $100 just Venmo donations to anyone who applies who's been affected by the work stoppage, whether they're in Writers Guild, SAG, DGA, IATSE, Teamsters. And it's awesome. She's been able to help over 500 people as of yesterday. There was also somebody organized a local food bank to give free groceries to Writers Guild writers and SAG actors who are on strike. I think it was the World Food Bank in Mid-City on Venice Boulevard. So or World Harvest Food Bank. That's what it's called, I think. So that's been really cool. Humanitas, the esteemed prize, has also been giving out $100 gift cards to writers. And they've been emphasizing like lower level writers, which is really nice because those are the people who are most likely to be really hurting right now. But it's been cool to see folks like specifically hone in on mutual aid. Because there's, of course, larger funds. You know, the Entertainment Community Fund helps a lot of people. But a lot of times with that kind of fund, you know, you have to go through an application process and you might not get it and things like that. So I personally love seeing the no strings attached mutual aid. I hope to see a lot more of that continue. The Union Solidarity Coalition, TUSC, just did a huge fundraiser because they're paying off healthcare premiums for IATSE and Teamster members who are going without work and losing their insurance so that they don't have to go on Cobra. So that's been really sick to watch too. I feel like mutual aid really popped off within the last like 2 years. So everyone's getting into it now.
I think that's how we originally crossed paths, was doing food distro to unhouse folks during the pandemic.
Yeah, I think we did. And I don't know, when IATSE almost went on strike in 2021, I ran like a mutual aid drive to pay off people's dues if they owed dues, because during COVID, a lot of people didn't work and they racked up debt that way. And we got to pay off a ton. And I think a lot of people are like, oh shit, like no strings attached. You know, it doesn't really matter. Like, okay, let's try it.
I read and I've seen you're a captain. How do you get to that position within the organization, and what do the kind of responsibilities entail?
It's so funny. I literally just went up to the table and I was like, do you guys need help? And they gave me the hat.
There we go. Very easy. Okay.
There's people who have been doing it since the captain system was established in like 2005, I think. Mm-hmm. Like there's people who usually every show has like one captain, and you can be the captain that just tells people news. For the strike captains, it's literally just like enlisting at an office. They're like, who's got a pulse, you know? Okay. So if anybody wants to help, I think anyone can get the hat, unless you're weird, I guess.
There's some weird people who are captains.
That's fair. There's more than enough, and I have solidarity with all of them, even if they're weird. Mm-hmm. We'll
except
see.
for the man I was dating, we don't have solidarity with him.
Okay. Oh. Yeah.
Everyone except him.
But I just started doing it. It was fun. There's people who I've spoken to who have like a whole list of like 50 people they have to talk to. I don't have any of that, so I just tell my coworkers what's up when they want to hear gossip.
How many coworkers is that?
On my show, we have 11 writers, so I usually just send a little blast. I'm like, here's what events are going on this week. Hope everyone's still alive, and see you soon.
So since you're floating, how do you find out about which strike to go to and when, and like how do you get keyed in, and which ones do you choose based on what?
So as you have mentioned, we do have special pickets that are themed. Sometimes they're like identity based, like the Asian writers picket, Black writers picket, trans writers picket. Sometimes, you know, it's just like a reunion for a certain show or for a certain school. Like I went to a Northwestern picket. And then sometimes it's just like fun, like Beyonce picket. Mm-hmm. That was the best one, honestly. Gabrielle Union brought us ice cream.
Oh, shit.
So sometimes I'll go to show up to support those pickets. But then sometimes if I know there's a themed picket that there's going to be a lot of people at, that cues me to know that, okay, the studios that don't have a theme are probably going to be looking for more bodies. So sometimes I'll go there to be more supportive, so there's not just like two people on the picket line. And sometimes I just go to whatever one is closest to me, or just a lot of friends will hit you up for a picket date, like, hey, I'm gonna be here, I haven't seen you in a while, do you want to walk and talk? So it just depends. I usually don't know what picket I'm going to till the day of, so.
What's the largest and smallest picket lines you've been on?
Ooh, I think the largest one was the first Black writers picket that was at Paramount.
I think that one had 900 people.
It was like more than that, I think. Ooh. Yeah, it was too much for me, honestly. And then the smallest, So we have been doing the rapid response pickets for when we hear that there's a show that's trying to shoot. We'll picket to shut it down. And you have to have 2 WGA members for it to be a picket line. And I have been on some rapid response pickets that were 2 people.
Wow.
Damn.
Yeah.
I love when a 2 a.m. date. It's like you and me, buddy, for the next 4 hours.
Yeah.
I hope you like me.
You better hope they're not annoying. I have had to picket with a person I found very annoying. I was like, maybe we can switch gates. Like, no, she didn't want me to leave.
PSA, don't be weird on the picket.
Yeah.
That's all you got to do. Don't be weird.
Yeah.
And how do y'all come up with, who comes up with the themes? Like, is that a group decision? Is that somebody just approaches you and says, hey, let's do it around this? Or
I don't know. I think that people just come up with their ideas and now they coordinate with the captains. In the beginning, they were just like not, or like now they're listed. You have to submit it to the WGA, and so they'll put it on it. There's like a site that lists all the special pickets. But in the beginning, it was just like free for all, willy nilly. So the poor captains had to deal with 1,100 people showing up for the black picket and not knowing that was about to happen, kind of a situation. But now it's a lot more organized.
Yeah, and it really depends. Like we have, we had the Harvard picket at Fox, and which is like so many TV writers went to Harvard, and they had like 4 types of food truck, like hundreds of people. It was so coordinated. They planned it for like weeks. But then like this Friday, I'm throwing a special picket for my favorite dog on the picket line who's turning 1.
Okay.
And we're getting a special cake for dogs and a piñata with dog treats in it and a fruit cart.
Okay.
So there's in that one, it's like, just bring your dog, I guess.
Yeah.
It'll be fun. So it depends. Some of them are like, all right, 80 moving parts, and some of them are a dog's birthday. So. Okay. Everyone's invited to Carl's first birthday.
Carl?
Fox
Okay.
this Friday.
What kind of dog is Carl?
He's a black lab.
Okay. Cool. And he's been on the picket line quite often?
Every single day.
Every single day?
Yeah.
Wow.
Everyone knows him by name. He's been out there more than many writers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Love it. It's kind of like my baby. My baby Sahai,
Oh, yeah.
who I bring with me. He's my 1-year-old. And he goes to a lot of protests.
He's been to more city council meetings than most people in Los Angeles with opinions about the city.
He certainly has. He certainly has.
And he's been threatened by more city council members than most people who live in Los
Threatening
Angeles.
babies?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Joe Buscaino.
Only Jason's baby.
Yeah, only my baby specifically. Yeah. I guess, has there been, today you were with David Duchovny. I'm sure you've come across mentors or people that you look up to. Is there anyone that in particular that's come out to the picket line that's like just left you speechless?
I did see Issa Rae on a picket line, and that was the one celebrity where everyone was like too scared to say anything to her. Like everyone was like, "That's Issa Rae. That's Issa Rae." But all I managed to do was wave at her, and then she smiled at me, and then I almost passed out because her teeth are so beautiful.
Yes, they are.
Yes, but I mentioned Gabrielle Union came, and I have been developing a show with her production company for like 2 years, but I'd never met her in person. So it was nice to finally meet her in person, and like she brought us Italian Ice and danced to Beyonce with us, and was it was a good time.
I mean, honestly, seeing David Duchovny today as like a lifelong X-Files fan blew my mind. But I'm also very impressed. Like at Fox, we get a lot of older writers. Many are like retired, and this is like their 6th strike, and they're just like vibing out there with us. We get like 90-year-old actors or writers who have won like 8 Oscars, and you're just like, oh my God, you're Eric. And he's like, yeah, what's up? You're like, oh my God. So we get a lot of like celebrities who you wouldn't recognize, and then I'll swipe them in and I'll read their name and I'm like, oh, okay. Okay, got you.
Kathy Griffin also fed me gluten-free banana bread that she baked.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like actually fed it to you?
Yes, she was like walking around with her Tupperware, and like I was like, oh, I'm so sorry, I can't have it. She was like, you can't have gluten, can you? And I was like, no. She's like, it's gluten-free. And I was like, oh, amazing. And she's like, I could tell by your face that you can't eat gluten. And I was like, I can't tell
Real
if that's an insult.
solidarity from Kathy.
Yeah, it was delicious too. She was so excited to share it. She baked it herself.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Kathy? There's been 6 strikes, some of them as short as 2 weeks, some of them as long as 5 months. SAG just got into the mix. Now is going on strike. How does SAG coming into, going on strike now, does that, obviously that brings a lot of people because they're, I think, like 100,000 deep, right?
Oh, yeah.
Brings a lot of that celebrity, quote unquote, power or, a pull.
Tension.
Ability to mobilize. Does that help WGA?
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely. It's a
1,000%.
1,000,000%.
Well, because I was reading the last time there was the double strike, it was like in 60 years?
60
something years ago.
1960, yeah.
And their strike stopped 2 months before WGA's did, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So it helps having SAG in the mix.
Yeah, I mean, for me, just seeing like beautiful celebrities on the picket line who are like the 1% are, ruining our lives. I'm like, oh my God, okay, yeah.
And sharing their residual checks that are like 13 cents. And
celebs, they're just like us.
They are.
It's a powerful sentiment. Sentiment.
Yeah. And I think obviously the public recognizes these figures more than they recognize writers, so they're more likely to pay attention to what they're saying, and it just brings more attention, which is what the studios don't want, and just more bodies on the picket line, so the WGA can maybe take a couple more days off.
And honestly, they are better at chanting than us. Writers.
I say they I'm not in SAG.
That's true. You're an actor, and are you a megaphone girly?
I've not been given one, but I could be. I studied theater. I can project.
Okay.
So,
Yeah. Most writers don't want to be looked at.
No, we don't want to be perceived.
They don't want anyone to know they're there. Sometimes at Fox, if they see an actor pick up a megaphone, they kind of scurry away. They're like, can I go to a different gate? But the actors are ready. They're like, does anybody want to sing a protest song?
Yeah.
I'm like, you guys are incredible. No, I don't. But thank you.
Yeah. When I went on Friday, which is the first day of the SAG strike, there was a press again. There was press in the beginning of the WGA strike, and they kind of dissipated. But there's lines of actors waiting to talk to the press, and whereas I remember the press basically chasing down writers to try to get someone to talk to them.
Every time we'll have we're like, oh my God, NPR is here, and they're clearly gonna talk about how great we are. Who wants to talk to them? And 15 writers are like, oh, no, please.
I know everyone's like, here, you're in every article about the WGA strike. I'm like, because I'm the only one that'll talk. I think is what it is. But also, I expect that we're going to talk about issues with the press. And they're always like, so have you found a picket line boo yet? And I'm like, oh my God, get out of my face. Stop making me look unlovable in the New York Times. I do have a picket line boo now, but not the second week of the strike.
Okay. Love it. The next question I was going to ask was, I guess, looking at who you invite for pickets. For example, politicians that might show up. I saw Adam Schiff was out there today. Who makes the decision when to platform a politician and, or an actor that's going to come, or, musician? How does that work?
I've invited politicians I know, chill, smaller ones, Freddie and Yasmin at Culver City Council. I was like, you guys want to come by? They're like, we'll bring water, sure. An Adam Schiff, I don't know. I'm personally what do politicians want to be out here? I don't know. The city attorney just said today that politicians shouldn't be on the picket line.
Sure.
So maybe they're not going to anymore. But I think most of the local folks especially support us. The federal folks, Hollywood on the studio side and on the writer side are all huge donors to many of these politicians too. So especially our city council races. So I'm sure many of them are trying to balance those sides and kind of appeal to both people, like a mayor, maybe. But I think a lot of them are union people too. Hugo's obviously going to be out there because he's Unite Here 11.
Yes.
Everyone wants to be chill with the unions. You know, they're politically powerful in LA and they're on a rising kind of trajectory. So I'm sure many of them are going to be out there, but you can tell when it's just a photo op. I'm not going to name names, but we had a state politician come to my picket in like 6-inch tall high heels because she's very small. And she took a photo of her frozen walking, holding a sign as if she was in motion. And as soon as it was done, she just left immediately. She was like, we got to go. We got to go. And I was like, all right, that's you just want to be seen here. That's fine. Go for it.
It's giving white influencer in 2020 vibes. They just come, like, put their fist up and leave.
Yeah. Truly. But I do think there's people who genuinely care. I mean, Nithya's coming. Her husband's in the guild, so she's going to be there. I think a lot of them probably don't care too. But yeah, I don't know. Is there any gossip other than the city attorney shitting on city politicians coming to the pickets?
No, that's what I saw today. Nothing else. But yeah, no. I'd seen Ugo came out to Netflix and he had an encounter with William Good of Film the Police LA. This was the day after he had voted to take away money from a food aid program and give it to the LAPD's overtime account. So he'd come. Ugo had spoke. It was also on the day, I think, Jane Fonda and a couple other folks were out there. And so with that happening, for people that come out to pickets that want to support and then they see someone that they necessarily don't agree with, I guess what should happen? Like, is it okay for constituents who see somebody to say something then and there, or is it I guess who?
I mean, listen, to me, if you're a politician, you're going to be out in public. You got to be prepared for people to yell at you. That's my ethos. So.
Okay, cool.
I do know that there have been politicians who have been like a buffer between the police and the picketers. Like, for example, I think like Disney and a couple of other studios have started to try to call the police on like people for honking their horns in support. And so I know at Disney at some point the police showed up, and my friend who's a captain at Disney, Caroline Renard, she tweeted about it, and the mayor of Burbank was like, call me if they come. Like, I live down the street, I will show up and I'll talk to them for you. So they have been doing other things than just taking photos too.
And I guess on that note, what is the political education like within the WGA in terms?
It's an interesting question because I having been part of IATSE, my mom is SCIU, my aunt works for the Teamsters. We're like a hardcore union family. Even within IATSE, like, I never felt like there was huge class consciousness, huge knowledge of labor history. My best friend teaches labor history at UCLA. And when she came out to the picket, she was like, I'm going to read a quote from the founder of the WGA, what he said during HUAC. And everyone was like, what do you mean? What is that? What was that? And she's like, the blacklist, So I think a lot of people might not really be familiar with the history of these unions. And I'm personally really excited. Like, I talk people's ear off about the history of various entertainment unions in LA because it is really fascinating. The thing I talk about a lot is the war for Warner Brothers, which was one of the biggest labor actions in LA that resulted in IATSE members' houses being bombed. It was so intense. Highly recommend reading about it. But
when did this happen?
1929.
Wow.
So there's a lot of really rich labor history, but I think that our country has done a really good job of hiding it from us. And I think now is a really good moment to spread that kind of class consciousness and history of labor within our own unions. I'm really excited about trying to do that kind of stuff moving forward. Because I've been reading a lot of books, and even like I'm the biggest union girly of all time, and I'm reading Class Struggle in Hollywood in the 1930s, is a tome. And I'm like, oh my God, I didn't know about any of this. And this is like my own union, IATSE. So, yeah, I mean, no one knows everything, but I think people are really waking up to it, learning about all the previous strikes. Like, holy shit. I think just the fact that there hasn't been a strike in quite a while, since 2007 in the entertainment industry, people didn't get to flex that knowledge muscle.
Yeah, I do think the WGA does more political education than some of the other unions, and maybe that is because we have had the most strikes. I think we could definitely know. I'm learning so much to listen to you talk right now, but just looking at the numbers of how many people voted in the WGA to authorize their strike versus, so I think it wasn't it like 78% of people in the guild voted, and at a 98.7% yes rate, whereas like I think it SAG only 41% voted. They did vote to ratify it, and then with the deal that DGA got, only like 41% voted.
And these are historically high numbers.
Yeah. So WGA is usually going to be more politically engaged in the union activities. So.
It is like I do feel like a lot of people in the guild are really knowledgeable about maybe our union, but not as knowledgeable about where it fits into the larger struggle. Like I talked to a lot of people about, I was appointed as a delegate to the LA Federation of Labor through IATSE, and a lot of people don't know that the WGA is not a member of the LA Fed, which is actually like kind of weird for a union in LA. And as a result, like a lot of people don't know the history of the LA Fed, may not even know the connection to the LA Fed tapes and things like that. So I'm eager to see how we can connect our struggle to more of the other struggles, Unite Here 11, the Teamsters, and stuff like that. So,
and I've been seeing more of these solidarity pickets, like where y'all have been going out to Unite Local. UPS is about to go on strike. Or are they on strike officially? No, not officially.
July 31st.
July 31st. Okay. They're doing some practice ones, right?
Oh, they're practicing.
Okay.
This Wednesday, 8 a.m., downtown.
Right by the Los Angeles Police Protective League, they have a lot. It's actually where they staged, oh my God, there must have been like 80 cops the first time that Black Lives Matter did started their End Police Associations action in front of the Police Protective League, which is not a union, it's an association. They're
like the PGA of the LA Fed. The PGA is the Producers Guild of America, which people think is a union, but is actually a trade association that is not a union.
Okay. And so what has that been like, having other unions come through? Like you were saying, each day, some days it's you have a lot of energy, and some days you're exhausted because this is, a lot of work, a lot of time that you're putting in. Like you said, it's mentally draining, physically draining. So what's it like to have that union solidarity come through?
It definitely is invigorating, and especially seeing some of the I know, like, which studio was it? Was it CBS that fired all their janitors or whatever?
CBS, yeah.
Yeah, they fired all their janitors, and they're like, we can't afford the janitors because of the writers' strike. Clearly trying to pit laborers against each other. But then the I don't know the name of their union. Is it
that was SEIU? I think.
Yeah. So they came to picket with us to show no, we're not blaming the writers for this. We know that y'all made this decision.
And that thing was especially interesting to me because the company that maintains CBS Studios that did the firing of the janitors is Hackman Capital, which is a huge developer in Culver City that helped spend the most money ever spent in a local election in LA to elect a right-wing majority in Culver City. So I've been telling people, how they messed with the janitors and tried to blame us? They also do this other stuff. So it's been kind of interesting because when you talk to people in other unions, you really do learn more about the different facets of the things controlling our lives. Unite Here 11, I've learned so much about the struggles that hotel workers face. And, productions use hotels. It's such a huge part of our budget. When I was shooting in Atlanta last year, I lived in a hotel for 2 months, a Unite Here. Well, it would be Unite Here in California, but in Georgia, it was not a unionized hotel. But we've just been learning so much about the struggle that they go through. And even though we might not see them as an entertainment guild, their employees work on the lots with us. They're definitely fellow workers, and it's just been cool seeing people embrace that kind of level of class consciousness.
And so y'all were talking about streaming and getting very little money. I guess who is at the negotiation table with the AM? Let me get this acronym. AMP.
poo poo.
Yeah. AM poo pee.
There we go. What's the official?
AMP poo pee poo.
AMPTP.
And what does it stand for again?
American Motion Picture and Television Producers,
I think. Yeah. I don't know. It's too long. Too many P's in it.
The Death Star.
Yeah.
The Death Star. There we go. So who's at the table negotiating with these folks? Who is with these fuckers, should I say? And what does that look like? Like what? Yeah. What does that look like?
I mean, the number one, we all know her name, Carol Lombardini.
Carol
Lombardini, the head of the AMPTP. Nightmare lady.
Yeah.
She hates us.
She said that we should be grateful to have gig work.
Yeah, and even when she negotiated with IATSE, because the AMPTP, and she's the chief negotiator, negotiates with all the unions. I remember we were trying to raise the minimum wage floor within IATSE, and she specifically said that we are not skilled workers and we don't deserve to be paid $25 an hour. This lady is like the perfect movie villain, and she's kind of the face of the whole thing. So I feel like she's the one everyone kind of hones in on. But all of the major studios there's multiple people part of this body, who all kind of negotiate together. They're basically like the union of the studios. It reminds me a lot of the LAPPL, actually.
Yeah, they're not a real union though. So the interesting thing is there is a possibility that if this strike goes on for a long time, they could break apart from each other and start making separate deals, because like the streamers are the ones that would benefit the most from keeping us on strike, but the broadcast companies, like, they are doing what we have been asking forever, and they're the ones who are suffering the most because they don't have this bank of television and films that they haven't released yet the way that the streamers do. So if you look at, like, ABC released their quote-unquote strike-proof schedule, and it was just like The Bachelor for old people and like reruns of Abbott Elementary. And so it's like they don't have the new shows coming out, because streaming shows, they'll have the writer's room first, and they'll complete the writer's room and then go into production for the show. And so that's why sometimes it'll be like a year or two in between seasons of streaming shows, whereas broadcast, they'll be in the writer's room and producing at the same time. So that's why it comes out a lot faster.
Yeah, they have no fall schedule now. So they are, like, it would behoove them. And that's what happened in 2007. You know, the first company that negotiated separately was, I believe, John Letterman. Is that his name?
David Letterman?
David Letterman. John.
Letterman. I was thinking of John Fetterman.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Sorry, David Letterman's company negotiated a separate deal first to bring like those writers back, and then I think there were a few companies, and then the dam like finally broke. So I wouldn't be surprised if something like that happens.
Yeah, I feel like it probably will, especially because they're so far apart on how they feel about our demands that it's just, you know, why are you letting Netflix take your lunch money right now? Like, don't let Netflix bully you.
And then I saw, there was a picket at Netflix at the new restaurant that they opened a couple of, right? Yeah. And so
Netflix Bites.
How is that restaurant doing? Do you have
I assume bad. It was a pop-up.
Oh, it was just a pop-up.
It was just a pop-up. It would be incredible if they opened a permanent restaurant, because we would just ruin them, I think. But it was just a pop-up. But it seemed like a lot of people were kind of like, oh, I'm not going in.
Yeah, I don't know anybody who went. And then even I saw like a TikTok that was trying to promote it, and everybody in the comments was like, boo, like, support the WGA, don't go there.
It is. I feel like a lot of companies are not good at like the PR of it. Like, first of all, they called it Netflix Bites. Yeah. Or is that what our campaign was? I'm pretty sure that's what the pop-up was called.
No, I think it was called Netflix Bites. Yeah. It's like, we don't even have to make a pun of that.
Yeah, you guys do bite. Yeah. You know? And then they'll make a TikTok of like, oh, we got an influencer to try our water. And every comment is just scab.
Yeah. Yep.
So they're kind of losing that war. I assume the pop-up is not coming back. But if it is, we'll be ready.
Okay.
Although I think we technically were not picketing it, because it was not a struck company.
Yeah, leafletting.
Oh, okay.
We were simply leafletting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Speaking about influencers, there's been, I think, some talk about how influencers are now going to be scabbing, right?
Yeah.
what are your thoughts on that? Like, how does that hurt what is being put out there? And you know, you guys have written that work, and to have these people come in and.
Yeah, so the scab threats are coming on the WGA side because a lot of these influencers are aspiring actors, and I do also think that there is some influencer work that is covered by SAG. And so when the announcement of the strike came out, so many of these TikTok influencers were like, I don't care, like, this is my big opportunity, I'm gonna get my bag, I'm gonna be the one to replace Meryl Streep or whatever they think it's gonna be. And it's like, no, if you do that, then you will be banned from joining SAG for the rest of your life, which will actually like end your potential film and television career. So I think one, it just was a lack of education about what scabbing will mean for your future. So once some of us who are on TikTok started combating those narratives, a lot of them were like backtracking, like, oh no, I didn't mean that. But I mean, the thing is, like, I don't even know that it really hurts us that much. It just hurts their career more than it does anything else, because it's like, when it's also going to hurt them because the studios are going to screw them over because they know that they're not going to have the protection of the union right now. And nobody's going to be like, well, I'm so glad that I saw that movie that's starring that girl that got 2 million views on TikTok doing that Ice Spice dance, like, instead of going to see Zendaya. Like, it's just like, it's just not going to have the same pull or power. But it does suck to see that, like, so many of them are not in solidarity.
I feel bad for them. I mean, it really sucks. I think if you're following the traditional actor path, you know, you do a lot of background work and then you get your like really minor roles and then you maybe land a recurring role and so on, and you keep going. Like, you're in the union the whole time, and like, you know how important the union is. And I feel like a lot of these folks who got huge off TikTok or Instagram are from other places, right to work states with no unions. And they don't realize like how much they're screwing themselves over. So I don't know. It makes me kind of sad, but I feel like a lot of those are empty threats too.
Oh yeah, things like Let's be real. Like, the studios are not gonna come to cast you. They would have done it by now. Same with like the few writers, aspiring writers who are like, this is my time. Like, I'm gonna get my bag. It's like, okay, person with 7 followers on Twitter. Like, I don't think Lionsgate's gonna be knocking down your door. Like,
that's what it is. Funny because I feel like the studios are like, we can do this without them, and then it's like, all right, well, Mr. Johnson from Florida is available, and he has a Star Wars spec sequel written. So
and it's the worst thing you've ever read in your life. So go for it. Yeah, I think I do also know that the studios have tried to get writers from other countries to scab. So I have a friend who was dating someone who was a writer in Canada, and like the Canadian writer started getting calls, but they're refusing to scab. But it's also, they are in such a tough position because they're like, the American studios are never trying to hire us, they're never checking for us, and you know, this could be a big opportunity for us right now, but it's not worth.
Classical American capitalist behavior. It makes me mad because I'm from Ukraine. There's a writers guild there. I'm sure that for many of those people, even like 1/3 of a weekly staff pay would be life-changing in the moment. And for any studio to go out and try to prey upon people who aren't in the guild, and they do it even when we're not on strike. People probably saw what the creator of Squid Game said about how he was paid like nothing for that show, even though it was massively successful. It's just gross. It's gross and it's predatory. And I really hope that like a lot of the guilds in other countries, we can be of help to them in the future around that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I do know like that. Even as little as American writers are getting paid right now, we get paid up to 10 times more than writers in other countries.
Oh, yeah, totally.
So, yeah, like you were saying, 1/3 of a weekly staff writer pay is probably more than they're getting paid. So it's tempting.
Cost of living is...
It's also lower. I have a friend who is a WGA writer but moved out of the country, and she was saying, like, you can afford to live off of a foreign writer's salary. I think she was in the UK or whatever. She's like, you have to live very modestly, but you can, but it's really not like, it's not even close to what we're making. So I appreciate that the writers in other countries have been refusing to take those offers.
Wonderful. Well, I think that's all the questions I had. If you were, where can people find you? Online or in person if you want them?
You can find me at the Fox Lot every weekday from 9 to 12.
Okay, 9 to 12?
Yeah.
Oh, because it's so hot now, y'all are doing, do you do two shifts,
we have like an AM and a PM shift, so I'm there for the AM shift, but we did shorten our hours because it's 100 degrees outside.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you want an ass kicking, come to the Fox Lot 9 to 12 weekdays.
Sounds good.
I can't tell you where you can find me physically, because just wherever the wind blows me.
Because you're a coward, or
yeah, because I'm absolutely a coward. No, it's because I just decide like 5 minutes before I'm about to go where I'm gonna go. But on the internet, you can find me on Twitter. That's where I'm probably the most active. That's where a lot of screenwriters are the most active because it's words and not photos, and we don't like to be perceived. But my handle on Twitter is Blackass Feminist, BLKASS Feminist, and then same handle.
Can you spell ass again?
ASS.
Okay.
Yeah. I should change it to AZZ. Like back that ass.
There we go. There we go.
And then I have the same handle on TikTok. I just made a TikTok specifically to answer strike and screenwriting questions. So it's easier for me to have more than 140 character limit. So it's easier for me to answer those in video form. And I'm also on Instagram. It's just my name, Kyra, KYRA.A.Jones. So pick your social media of choice.
Are you on Spill?
I am. Okay. I think I'm also Black Ass Feminist on Spill. Okay. I don't really know. Like Spill is just like
it's wild.
Nothing right now. Yeah. So I don't put anything interesting. I think I've spilled the tea. I don't know whatever the verbiage they used to post. I posted like twice. I don't really know quite how to navigate that.
Spillers and sippers.
Yes, and then I am on Blue Sky too. I also don't really. I mean, that's like just Twitter. But
yeah,
there's just too many like Twitter replacements coming out right now, and I just can't. I'll just rock with Twitter until Elon like blows it up. So
me too. Yeah, because Spill is just. I don't even know what the fuck I'm doing on there.
It's just people. I just go on there and everyone's just like, I'm Black today, yay! Yeah, like, that's it. Like, there's nothing of substance yet, but you know, I'm sure it'll get there.
That's a lot of substance.
It is, but it's not like there's information being distributed the way it is on Twitter yet. It's just getting started. There's no shade to spill. As long as it doesn't turn into men moaning like on Clubhouse, I think we're good.
Was that a thing?
Yes, they would have Clubhouse rooms where they would just be Lakeith Stanfield moaning.
I do remember that now that you say that.
Yeah.
Wow. Awesome.
And that's why you will not find me on social media.
Okay.
It's there, but do not look for me. Find me at the Fox Lot.
You went down in the big Twitter verified... If I remember, you changed it to. Didn't you change it to the sheriff?
I proudly changed my name to the LA County Sheriffs, and I tweeted, "Watch out, we're drunk driving tonight, boys." And Twitter nuked me so fast because they don't like free speech. Actually,
no, they don't.
So now I have some bullshit account that I'm going to delete as soon as the strike is over. And yeah, find me in person anywhere. I'll send you my location if you can find my address and just mail me a letter or something.
Okay, sounds good.
Sounds safe.
Yeah, right.
All right, I'm on Twitter. Possum lives. I'll tweet out my location once a week, and you can find me there.
Okay. All right.
Alrighty.
That's it. Thank you.
Yay!
Thank you for coming. Thanks for listening to this episode of People City Propaganda. We hope you learned something worthwhile, and we encourage everyone to get out on a picket line near you and support the writers and actors. Fuck Carol Lombardini, fuck the police, all power to the people.